Join channel here or over at SubScribestar. So Mad Max without Mad Max, but plenty of girl power. What was wrong with the movie? It's that there wasn't anything right with it. Plus, people are really burnt out on global homogenization. So I went sailing the other day and I found an okay copy of this Furiosa. And I gotta say, seeing it on a tablet is probably better than seeing it in the big screen because people were talking about the CGI, but you just don't was a problem, but you just don't notice that on when the copy is not the highest resolution. Well, what started this was I saw that this movie had a lot of defense on Twitter from these the usual soy boy crowd, and everyone else was saying how stupid it was to have a Mad Max movie without Mad Max. I mean, when I was clicking on the icons of the people who were defending it, it was all most of them were 300-pound soy boys. I mean, dudes with just chin double chin goes right to a fat neck, bearded types who were defending this. And I looked at this and like sometimes I just copied their picture and put it in the reply because it's like if this is the person who says a movie, it's like it's the best movie I ever saw. It's like I'm judging you based on physiognomy. That's it's totally irrelevant. So I watched the movie and I realized it wasn't that not having Mad Max isn't really the problem. You could do that though. I mean, you could have done a movie in the future and had an older Mel Gibson who's still in the wasteland. That kind of would have been cool. It's the chick that's the problem because chicks are mostly boring. Yes, every once in a while there's going to be, a Sigourney Weaver comes along. That's the outlier. It's not the middle of the bell curve. And chicks didn't used to be boring. A cool director could have made this movie work, but the movie can only be good in theory because none of these things are happening in a cultural war vacuum. Everyone sees the culture war and they're sick of diversity, girl boss power. I mean, to the point of where South Park was summing it up. Put a chick in it, make her, I don't know, gay and lame, because none of this stuff happens on its own. Where if you made this movie 20 years ago, people, I think, would have got a much bigger audience. But people are so annoyed with woke vagina that they don't even bother showing up to watch anything with a female lead. And somebody said something like, if Alien and Aliens came out now, people would be complaining the same way. And they might have a point because there's been since that was 86, 40 years of progressively worse woke stereotypical movies. So they might have a point where you'd miss out on good movies like Alien and Aliens because people are just on a hair trigger right now, but there's nothing to be done with that. I mean, yes, you could turn Hollywood around if you wanted to, but these people definitely don't want to. And this movie actually does a lot of things very well, but based on its budget and opening weekend, it's going to lose money. By now, you've just got to admit that something about Hollywood is not adding up. People are telling Hollywood they're tired of vagina power and diversity. Yet Hollywood, well, he did a pretty good job in that, except for, I guess I won't spoil any. Except Hollywood doesn't stop with what they're pushing. They know political correctness ruins everything. I mean, it's not like you're going to see the movie anyway, but they keep making woke cancer. Movies like this, or Fury Road, which came out in 2015, are not bad exactly. They're like so many of these films. Suicide Squad, Black Adam, Black Widow, Eternal, Shang-Chi, Wonder Woman 84, and probably a bunch of others that it slipped past the radar. They're not all super woke, but they're not anything. They're sparkling water when you expected the kick of champagne. Politically correct movies made by soy boys who care about feminism and diversity suck. They lack all edge and spice. They don't offend the marginalized, disenfranchised, oppressed people of the othered community or whatever Frankfurt School monkeypox they pretend to believe. Those are not our values, and clearly those are not, because the people pushing these are homicidal maniacs who would gladly put 100 million people to fertilize fields if they could create a better tomorrow. They think those are like acceptable prices to pay. And the thing is, we're not alone here because these movies are not. This movie had a horrible opening weekend, I think like $30 million, so it's set to bomb unless something happens on it. The thing is, it's not that bad of a movie. It's like Solo bombed, and it wasn't that bad of a movie either. This movie's going to bomb And you know what? It'll probably, when it comes to streaming, I think it'll do better. Everything now is oatmeal, where every meal is oatmeal, which is fine if there's no other options, which is a problem for Hollywood because nobody's buying a t-shirt, dude, because there are a lot of alternatives to Hollywood. There's also the backlog of older Hollywood stuff to watch, but then there's, social media live streams and stuff, and people are getting more and more into being on these live streams with a few hundred people, relatively very small live streams, but it's forming a digital community that is much more intimate and engaging than it's like a massively parallel system versus a I don't know how to say it, system where it's top down, where people are more into interacting with other people, and you can do that on a relatively small live stream with under a few thousand people there. So I'm watching this movie, and while I take notes, and the thing is, the movie does a lot of things right, but it's just lacking that essential edginess of movies in the 80s and before. Maybe the cutoff is like 1990 or something. The only thing they can do is make white man bad, which is another problem, because that's all of Hollywood, where every stupid movie, it's, oh, hey, look, blonde-haired, blue-eyed person is bad. Again and again and again. Oh, hey, look, the non-white Mary Sue, who's smarter and has the moral high ground. They're here to lecture Mr. Out of Central Austrian casting on whatever. You get the idea. It's every movie all the time, the exotic other. The male of Western European descent is going to be the bad guy, or like in this movie, spoiler alert, it gets cucked and humiliated and degraded because the person who made the movie is people who make the movies, the directors and producers, they offer a little bit of a window into their souls, and it is staring into the anti-white abyss of these parasitical demons from hell. Movies today are hard to explain to someone under 40, 35, that there was a time when movies weren't this lame and woke. You can compare the original movies with this estrogen Saul Alinsky remakes. Remember the dwarf riding the guy missing a chromosome in one of the original 3 Mel Gibson movies? It gave the movie something that was different, something memorable, similar to Time Bandits, which I mentioned, because they're remaking it with full-size people. Kind of takes the flavor out of films. You can do comparisons with tons of old movies or just movies in general. They were better. And it's not just me getting older, because I can look at movies before my time and admit that movies were better the further you go back. People just got lower IQ and lower attention spans, so they need movies like you see today, movies that are made for dummies. People don't bother to articulate why these woke remakes are bad, but it's this subtle plastic feeling of knowing you're watching propaganda, that it's following a checklist of Larry Fink diversity points over at Blackstone. They remade Peter Pan with a mixed race cast and even mixed sex, where the Lost Boys are now girls, and when there's an original line in the book that the girls are too smart to fall out of their prams. And all the cast of that Peter Pan movie looked like they hated each other, because in real life, obviously, they do hate each other. That's what I mean, is this stuff is not happening in a cultural vacuum. Yet you see this Hollywood world where they don't, and you can replace an Englishman with an Indian, and nobody should notice a difference because they feel it's istophobicism. Except we just don't care, or we don't even really believe in the concept. Older movies built a weird universe with the rules of that universe, but woke movies have movies set in different universes, but with the Frankfurt School politically correct rules of this universe of present day, where everything feels fake. So you take some old movie with a bunch of Englishmen running around fighting dinosaurs or whatever, and they remake it with diversity, pronouns, and vagina power. It's ridiculous. You might as well have Klaus Schwab write the movies. Actually, there was a 1969 movie about cowboys fighting dinosaurs. Kind of a weird flick. The old movies were ridiculous, but at least they were internally consistent. The new stuff is all just written by some obese, blue-haired idiot with a communist sticker on her $3,000 laptop. They don't know anything. They get hired well, they get hired on diversity checklist, not on merit. It's a doom loop where everything gets more derivative because the people who inspired the current crop are also woke because it's been so long since there was original politically incorrect thought. And maybe some are still inspired by, what's that guy's name? The dude from Pulp Fiction. I can't remember this son of a bitch's name, but the line about dead ninja storage, if you know what I mean, set the tone of that movie, and they just couldn't do something like that in current year because they have to follow these Frankfurt School rules that they literally just wrote down 5 minutes ago. But the rules are written by fat losers who think with the nose ring. It's not the cool nose ring on the side of the nose. It's the nose ring right in the middle, and they all think they're the same edgy whatever originals, but they all have the same stupid pop cultural tattoos of Hollywood icons from within the past 40 years or Muppets or something. Like, look how quirky and original I am. It's like, yeah, you all have the same stupid tattoos. They're not tied together. If the tattoos tie together in a theme, I get that. That's something a little bit different, but it seems like a lot of chicks do this, where they have a lot of tattoos from things that just happened in the past 20 years or 30 years, and it's freaking bizarre. Where's it going with this? Oh, and the nose ring and the blue hair and the shaved side of the head. It's like they're really going for the kind of the same thing where, like, you could get more attention if you just ate right, exercised, and lost weight. I promise you, when you're in shape, you get more eyeballs and people interacting with you in a nicer manner. That's really all it takes, and it's literally will save you money because you just have to eat less and do a little walking. What was that guy's name from Pulp Fiction? The Dead Ninja Storage with John Travolta and what's his face. Fun movie, and a lot of people who are into movies were inspired by that guy. Which I thought his movies were okay. I didn't think they were amazing. But nowadays they can't even imagine doing something like that a little bit edgy because they have to follow the rules. But these people who are derivative of derivative are all these fat commies who think that if they're in charge, everything is going to work better this time. It's like, the 80s weren't that long ago. Did you not learn the lesson from the 80s? Well, a lot of these people are too young to have been around during the 80s. So, no, it's like the cycle of history would just repeat. Except this time there won't be Hollywood to entertain you because movies are getting so bad that people just aren't watching them. Anyway, physiognomy is real. Always, you're saying you don't value my opinion because I'm fat? Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes, that is. I think that's more accurate than not. If you can't even take care of yourself, why would we value their opinion? Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys over at the other platforms.